Hello, wherever you're joining us from. I'm happy to be with you once again for this class. So far, we've covered the introduction part of data analysis with Power BI, and then we moved on to our data cleaning and data transformation class. And last week, we also covered the data visualization. We went through the different charts that we have on Power BI and even went as far as getting those that are not there by default. And this week, we're looking at how we can make our reports more interactive, more interesting, and, make it, optimize it and make it better looking, right? So today we're going to be covering how we can link slices and drill through in Power BI. We're going to look at the buttons that we can use in Power BI. We're going to optimize report for mobile view in Power BI. I think for this particular one, it was somehow covered last week. So when I get to this one, I expect you people to do that for me. And we're going to finally publish our report Power BI service. Remember when we started, we mentioned that Power BI has 3 parts to it. And we talked about the desktop, which is what we are using at the moment. That's what you should have sitting on your desktop. And then we talked about the Power BI mobile. So that will be on your phone. So maybe when you are going on transit, you can still access your reports on the go. And finally, we talked about the service, the Power BI service. This is the cloud version of it. And the beautiful thing about Power BI service is that it gives you the opportunity to collaborate, to interact with different people, no matter where they are. The difference between the Power BI desktop and the Power BI service is that on desktop, it's just sitting in your desktop. So more like you are just the only one that have access to it. But once it goes on the cloud, you can share it with whoever you want to share it with, and the person can see that. And depending on the level of access you give the person, they can either even edit or just interact with the reports, right? So that's basically it. And yeah, you already know me. I was here in the first class. My name is Chioma Okafor, and I'm a data analyst. And yeah, okay. So just like I said, what we're going to be looking at is introduction to sync slices. We're going to define and try to understand why we use slices in Power BI. We're going to look at how we can synchronize it. So you know how we have different reports when we are doing our reports. How can we sync all the reports, the same slices for all the reports? And then we're going to look at drill through. Drill through, we'll try to explain what it's all about and how it can help our data visualization and reports look more interesting and for easy exploration and analysis. We're also going to look at the buttons in Power BI. So we're going to look at the back, the forward, the page navigation, and stuff like that. So that's something we're also going to be covering. And like I said, I realized that we already kind of intro. I think it was somebody that asked that question. So Madam Franca had to handle that last week. So we also look at the mobile optimization. So how do we put our Power BI reports in mobile? That you will be doing for me because I know it's been done. And finally, we're going to publish whatever we've done in our desktop. We're going to publish it on service. So basically, that's what we're going to be doing today. So first, I'm going to start with slicers. What are slicers? Slicers in Power BI are visual filters that allow users to segment and filter data dynamically within a report. They enhance the interactivity and usability of reports by enabling users to focus on specific subsets of data quickly and easily. Very easy. In a layman's term, slicers just help us. So you know how you have a bigger report and probably you have a report that covers if a company is operating maybe in different capacities across different countries, right? Maybe we have one in Nigeria, one in Ghana, one in South Africa, one in UK, one in US. And now, when we are collecting our reports, first, the aim is to get our reports across all the regions that we are operating in. But when we want to now start looking at each region by region, that is when slicers can help us. So instead of looking at our total sales for the whole regions that we operate in, we can start to narrow it down to Nigeria, to Ghana, to UK, to South Africa, and so on and so forth. That's what slicer does for us. Now for drill through. Drill through, so we have drill down and drill through. I know we covered drill down last week. But now we're talking about drill through. Drill through is when I'm on a particular report. I'm just saying this, we're going to practicalize it eventually. But just to help us understand, drill through in Power BI is a powerful feature that allows users to navigate from a summary view of the data to a more detailed view. The feature is particularly useful for gaining deeper insights and understanding the context behind high-level metrics. So perhaps we are looking at our sales by, so first, maybe we might have a report that looks at our sales over the years. We've been operating for 5 years, and we want to look at our sales over the 5 years. We have a report that says, oh, probably in 2025, or let's say 2024, we had more sales compared to the last 5 years. But then we can still now use drill through to go further down and try to understand other factors that are contributing to higher sales, or just to get a detailed understanding of the sales that was done for that year. That's what drill through helps us with. And then we have buttons. Now, buttons in Power BI, if you look at what we have, the visual that we have, you will see we have the left arrow, the right arrow, the reset, the back, even there are just, a lot of them. Some you will need when you're working with your reports, and we're going to deal with some of them today. At least we'll show you how, demo it, and show you how you can use them. And it's just like we have it there. Buttons in Power BI are interactive elements that enhance user experience by allowing users to perform specific actions such as navigation, filtering, and triggering visuals or bookmarks. Okay, what are the benefits of syncing slicers, drill throughs, and buttons? Simple. It enhances user experience by providing consistent filtering and navigation, and it facilitates seamless exploration of related data points. So, let me give you a typical example why this is kind of very helpful. If outside Power BI now, if you go on a website, you will find out that the way the website is set up, the way it's configured, the way they have done the arrangements, can be more appealing than certain websites. So you find out that if a website is easier for you to use, you can easily understand what you're doing there, getting across the different segments or whatever, it's very easy to navigate. You find out that when you're on that website, you feel more comfortable working on that website. But if you go to a website and you're looking at it, you don't even know where to start. The whole mumbo jumbo, even getting access around it is difficult. You will find that you get frustrated. And guess what? If you are a business person, a company that is trying to sell things, whether services, product, whatever it is, and people come on your website and they cannot even easily navigate through it to get to where they are, what will happen? You lose sales, you lose customers, right? So why people are also using your reports, you want to make it in a way that it's going to be very easy. People can interact with it. People can look at it, they will love what they see. They don't have to crack them, oh, what is happening here, stuff like that. So basically, that's what this will help us with. It will help us get these reports more appealing and more interesting to look at, and also give space for more things to be done at the same time. Okay. Okay, I think that's it for us. That's it for our slides. So I'm just going to jump in on the practical aspects. Tell me, do you see my Power BI desktop? I'm looking at the charts. Can you hear me? Okay, thank you, Adra. Okay, so right now, this is our Power desktop.
We can hear you louder.
Thank you. So right now, this is our Power BI desktop. And for this class, we have been using the data set sales, at least last week, we used those sales data sets. So I'm going to try to bring it. So I'm going to kind of start almost from the beginning. Where we go about it when we want to bring in our data set is to go through get data. Now, I want to bring in the sales data set. I'm not even sure again if it's a CSV or Excel, but I sure know it's one of the files type of data set. So, okay, I could try Excel and see what happens. So I'm going to say, bring in my data set, and I want to bring in the sales, yes, sales data sets, and I'm going to click on OK. Now, notice that because it's an Excel, I see it easily, right? What if it's not an Excel? Maybe what if I chose CSV and then I get to where I know for sure that my data set is supposed to be here and I don't see it, right? What you can do is, since this place is showing as text file, you can put it as all files. Perhaps it can bring out all the type of data set that you want. I can scroll through to whatever you want and select the data set, right? So just in case, this is for maybe for some reasons you were not sure if it was an Excel CSV and then you go and choose, you still have, instead of going back to start over again, you have the option to say, okay, give me all the files and let me choose what I want. So I'm going to select this and I'm going to try to bring it in. Okay, so now we are on the navigator pane. What am I expected to do here? What should I be doing here? I'm trying to bring in my data set, and right now I see the cells that I want to bring in. I'm seeing table 1, table 2. Actually, what are you supposed to do on this pane? Hi, Gloria. Transform data if you haven't already, okay? But my transform data is not highlighted. Yeah, go ahead. Select a table. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So first, like I said before, this helps us to preview what our data sets. Yes, exactly. Check the data set you want to use. So I would kind of click on this just to have a preview of what my data set is all about. I see table 1 and I have rows, columns from order ID up to zone. Table 2, same. I have just channel and sales, right? Sales is a combination of table 1 and table 2 that I know. Looking at it, this channel was what we had on table 2, and these other columns are kind of what we had on table 1. But what I want to bring in is the sales. So I'm just going to select that alone. And like you said, I'm going to transform data. Click on transform data, right? And once I click on it, it's going to take me to the Power Query. And that's where we do our cleaning and transformation. And yeah, at this point, if you have any questions on this part of this, can you ask your questions now? Because I know we kind of complained about the video, but for some reason, if you have any questions on this part, tell me. Otherwise, I will ask my question. What do we do on this part based on what we learned the last time? What are we supposed to be looking at when we come to our Power Query and we're trying to do the cleaning And the transformation, what are we expected to do? Trying to make this class more interactive. Otherwise, I can just move on and we continue. It's just so that I know that if we have any questions, we can clear that and then we can move on. Remove duplicate for sure, yeah? Check the data type, exactly. Search for blank, yes. Okay, so somebody said remove duplicates, right? And for sure, from what I see, I don't see any duplicates. Now, fact table and, well, this is not a good place to explain that, but order ID, let me explain this data set a little bit further because there is very important need for us to understand the metadata. So if I'm looking at this data set, order ID, I expect it to be unique. I expect it to be per each order. I don't expect to see more than one, like an ID occurring 2 times. Why? Because this is like my, I don't want to call it fact table at this point, but this is like my, this is like my, what's the right word now? This is like my main, this is the key. In fact, call it the fact table, whatever. This is like what these other columns kind of depend on, right? Because whenever people come in and make an order, that's what is unique to them. The primary key. Thank you. Thank you, Chukwuemeka. That's the primary key. Thank you. So I don't expect to have my order ID to have more than one, like occurring more than once. So if I remember how we did the profile, I'm not going to do it now because of time. But for sure, I don't expect to see this. But if for any reasons it occurs more than once, that's when I can talk about looking at duplicates. And I start to trace it. So for some reasons, maybe whoever that entered it must have entered 707 ID twice. And if that is happening, then I can afford to now remove that duplicate. Now, another thing that somebody mentioned is look for blanks, right? Still using our column profile like we did the last time. Remember, I'm trying not to go there because I'm trying to look at our time. When you look at the column quality, actually, you will find out that for this particular column, everything is valid. So that means I do not have any empty rows. And if I'm looking at others and I'm scrolling down, you'll find out that it looks like we're good, right? Right? So there are columns that are okay to have empty rows. Maybe they're not significant, but I don't expect to have empty rows on my primary key column, right? And the other one that we talked about is that we look at data types. So if I am looking at this data set, order ID, it shows it's a number. Yeah, that's okay. This is what we have as number. Order date, this is a date, that's fine. The cost, probably it's, of course, is in decimal, so that's fine. So I'm going, when you go through them, you'll find out that you should be fine with this. I'm going to talk about something, but that's when we get back. Now, order ID, you might argue, okay, yes, it's a number, but order ID, is it really a number? Because Power BI at some point would start to see order ID as a number and start to do a summation, right? But we do not want a situation where we will look at order ID and start doing a summation on it, start adding on it. So when we get into our Power BI, I'll tell you what we do so that you avoid such from happening. So I think we are good. Our data set is good. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and close and apply. Okay, so that it can bring it into Power BI for me. Fact table. Because we are just using one data set, it might not be so applicable here. But when you're using multiple data sets, say for instance, you are bringing in this sales data set, and you have another data set that speaks to maybe the sales representatives and the sales that they make, right? fact table will now be, in this case, maybe our sales data sets that we're using now, while the other table, which speaks to those sales representatives maybe that have made those sales, will be like a dimension table. And we can now find, so the fact table remain our fact table, but we can now find a relationship between these two data sets. What ties it to the two of them? There's always going to be a column that ties the two, and that's where you make your relationship. I think for now, because of what we're doing, we don't have two data sets that we're going to work on. But if at the end of this class, I have some time, I'll try and look for a data set that has maybe multiple data sets, bring them in and show you what you're asking me for. I hope that helps. Okay, so now we have brought in our data sets, which is the sales, and these are the different columns that we had there, right? So because I talked about how we can address like this other ID. So if you look at this, you'll find out that anything that has number, remember that cost of sales, I'm going to my data view so that I explain to you. Cost of sales is numbers. So I expect to see the summation that I'm seeing there. Cost of sales is numbers. So this summation is okay. That's like an intelligent part of Power BI where it can on its own pick up certain things. It understands that numbers, so we should be doing some aggregates there. And likewise, other quantity, it's a number, and that's why you see it the way it is. Which other one? Profit is number, that's why you're seeing it that way. But other ID, it's number for sure. If you look at it, we're seeing different numbers, right? But we don't want it to do any, summation and stuff like that. And so what you can do at this point is if you come to where you have summarization, right? You can come here and say, don't summarize. So at every point in time, whenever we're doing analysis, we don't make mistakes to call this other ID a number and start to do any type of calculations on it. So that's something you can do and you can take that out. So going back to what we are doing, now we have brought in our data sets, right? This is now the part where we talk about what we did last class. We looked at creating different visuals, and I know we exhausted almost like every of the major visual that you see using, that you use almost on daily basis whenever you're using Power BI. We're able to look at that. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to create a few reports so that we can get to the business of the day. Now, if I'm looking at this, I can decide to understand, okay, so far, how much has you can even type it on the charts, any report that you want us to do, but while we are waiting for the charts, right now, I'm trying to see how much, let me even look at how much, because I see we have profits, we have sales, cost of goods. So apparently sales is like all the sales that we made. And this is the profit we've made so far. This is probably the cost of getting that. So I remember we did like a card visual. This is just like a summary. Card visual, we have different types of card, right? We have two types of card. So this one is a standalone where you can decide to just say, show me all the total sales. And it's going to populate it for you, right? And I can do that for what you call it, profit and cost of sales. We can change this cost of sales to cost of goods or whatever, but it's okay the way it is. Otherwise, I can decide to use this other card, right? No, I don't want you to change what I did. I'm going to keep that one. I'm going to create another visual. I'm going to go for this card. Now, the beautiful thing about this card, it allows us to look at different types of inputs, right? So I want to look at my total sales. I want to look at my total profits. I want to look at my total sales, cost of sales. So this card can comfortably give me all that, right? So instead of having 1, I can as well just have this and I should be fine, right? So that's one thing you can do. I'm just going to create just random visuals so that we can use whatever we are going to do, the slices and everything for today. I can also decide to create, and I'm looking at the charts to see if there are any options for report that we can create, but no problem. I can go ahead and decide to create, let me look at sales over time. So I can look at sales, and then I want to look at it like over time, right? I'm going to try to expand this. Okay. So from what I can see from our data set, perhaps this company started operating in 2011, and they made sales 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014. Now, when I was trying to make this visual, you notice that I used the date hierarchy. There's something you call the date hierarchy. So date hierarchy is where you have the year and still drill it down to quarter, month, day, right? And I know we covered this last time where we talk about the drill through, right? You not drill through down, drill down. I need you to understand the difference. That's why I'm pointing that out. Drill down. So we're looking at our sales for the company over time. We're looking at 2011, 12, 13, 14. And we can decide to drill further down on this. And that's where, if you look at this button that is here, it says click to turn on drill down. This one says go to the next level in the hierarchy. Remember the hierarchy, year, quarter, month, day. And this one says expand all down one level in the hierarchy. So if I click on this, just the way it has explained it to us, expand all, just one down the hierarchy. If I click on this, you will see what will happen. So I can now see for 2011, we operated just for Q4, that's quarter 4, and that will be October, November, December. And for 2012, we had Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. And for 2012, remember, it was like the highest sales. We can see that we performed better in Q2. Same for 2013, 2014. If I click further down, it's going to go again down to the next level, right? But when I want to go back up, I can click on this and it goes up to the next level, right? And even with looking at this, I can say, okay, for 2012, we had more sales in Q2 followed by Q4. For 2013, we had more for Q4 followed by Q2. In 2014, we had more in Q2 followed by Q3. So these are the things you now want to start looking at further down to understand how it works. And just like I said, you going down maybe by each hierarchy just to understand, okay, what could have contributed more to this, right? Now, that is how to use this. If we want to use this, it kind of works together with this. So whenever you want to like drill down one step further down, I'm going to go up to the where we started from. When you click on this, what you are simply doing, you are turning on your drill down feature. And with this on, I can now click on this. And what will happen is I can just decide to look at 2012 and I will try to drill down on 2012 to see what is happening for 2012, right? I can decide to still go further down on this 2012 to see what is happening on this 2012. So let me go up. Yeah. To see from January, February, March, April, May, what is happening for just 2012. Now, notice that I'm going to go up again. Notice that when we started, our total, the sum of sales for the company so far over the years is 55.39 million, right? And same the profit and the cost, right? But now, when I drill down on, let's say, 2012, right, it's showing me a different figure here. So what it means is that it's now telling me for 2012, we made sales of 20.99 million. Likewise, the profit and the cost. Now, you can see that it seems like the visuals are dependent on, it's not like it seems, that is what it is. It's kind of understanding, okay, I'm trying to look more further down on 2012. And so whenever I'm trying, whatever I'm doing, it's also giving me information for the other types of visuals that we have. Okay, I think I've been able to cover that. I'm going to try to create another, I'll just put this as maybe the overall, or let me say the main report, main. I'll just leave it as main. Let's create another report. Now, let me even look at just our sales, right? Let's look at sales. So I can decide to, okay, because I created the sales there, I'm going to move this sales over to this place, right? I just want to look at something. I'll create another visual here. Let me move this sales here. Since let's say, for example, you've created a sales, this is also good to know. I've created this report here, right? But I want to move it to the next page, right? I can even duplicate this page. I can click on, I can right click and duplicate that page. And of course, maybe rename it to sales, or better still, I can come here. This is the visual that I want to copy. Right click on it and say copy visual, right? Come to sales and do a Control V. I should see my visual there. So let me just dedicate this part to creating anything sales, right? I'm just trying to create different reports. And we can now go back to see how we can put in our sliders and every other thing we're going to be talking about today. I can even decide to look at my sales. I'm going to reduce this. I can decide to look at my sales. I can decide to create another visual and then maybe look at my sales by city, right? And this time around, I want to use a map. So I can say, give me my sum of sales and show me the sales by the different cities that we're operating in. I'm going to pull this. Oh my God, that's not what I wanted to do. Yeah. Hope this helps. So from what I can see now, in this map, it's showing me the different cities, right? I'm trying to make it as large as I can so that I can see it better. It's showing me the different cities that we're operating in. So wherever you see this bubble, it's telling me where we have our sales and the different cities, right? And the bubbles tells us like information on how much sales we have done. So if you look at, you can see that this one is big, this one is following, like the sizes are much bigger than some of these ones that are very kind of more small, you know. So what it's telling me is that I have more sales in Abakaliki and Ilorin, Owerri, Medjugorje is trying, Kuswa, like that. And maybe this other city, Bauchi, yes, we have sales there, but it's not so much like we have in the other cities, right? And that's okay. Remember, I tried to, I can take away this now. And, you know, I can even try to still do something. I want to talk to my profits. I'm just trying to come up with different visuals. I want to talk to my profit. I'm going to remove this. I don't need this here. This was the duplicate that I did, so I don't need it. I'm going to remove this as well. This visual, okay, I can even use this visual, but what I'm going to do is, because I did sales, I'm talking to profit now. I'm going to remove these sales on my y-axis, and I'm going to bring in my profits. So I will still have something like what we have, but this one speaks to profit, right? Which other this thing can we do for sales by profits? Yeah, I can just leave it like that. If you have any, you can tell me and we do that. And yes, I'm going to create another visual. Okay, before I continue creating, I'm going to stop now. And I want to introduce our slicers. Now, what is slicer? Slicer, like we already said, is something that can help us to look at our data set, like maybe by subsets or stuff like that. And if we look at our data set, we go back to our data set, we'll see that beyond the prices, the cost, the sales, the profits, we had like, yeah, we did a promotion, that's fine. We can see that we have the different products. We can see the different manufacturers, brand name. There are so many things to speak to in this data set. Let me use channel. So channel in this case will be the different medium that we did our sales. From what I can see, we had sales via store, through resellers, online, and catalog. Yes, I'm going to use this, so that's fine. So I'm going to go back to my report view, and I'm going to try to create like a slicer. Okay, you know what? Before that, let me remove this report and change it since I already have it on the second page. Maybe I will speak to the promotion. Let's look at the different promotions that we had. Yeah, I can still even speak to the sales by promotion, maybe by promotion type, promotion name, promotion type. Okay. Yeah, that's okay. I just want to have another visual here other than what I had there. Yeah. So apparently we had more sales when we had different promotions. I can even go further to look at, okay, what are the different promotions and how much they contributed. I can decide to, these are the different promotions that we had. Can decide to bring in this as well, right? And I can see from here that where we did the promotion, this advantage promotion brought in more sales. Likewise, deeper promotion and which one is this one? Winners promotion, right? So that's something also you might want to look at and also just understand what's happening there. Well, that's it for it. Now I want to bring in my slicers, right? And for our slicers, where are you? Button slicers. Okay, good. I'm going to bring in my slicer. I'm going to try to position it somewhere here. And like I said, I want to bring in our different channels, right? Just going to put it here for now. So I'm going to select the channel, and it's going to bring in the different channel mediums that we used to sell. I want to make this look better. You can come to your format. I want everything to be on the same line. So I'm going to look at the layouts and go to I want it to be, yeah. So I'm going to increase the columns, make it 4. Yeah, this is what I want. You can decide to do more on that. You can decide to play around. For sure, when you're practicing, play around when it comes to making your visuals look better. It's kind of also helps, like what we talked about in terms of how your visual can come out. I can decide to make these buttons, maybe the fill, can decide to look at the fill. I don't know, choose any color that looks okay. Can use this just to differentiate that, but that's okay. I mean, when you are practicing, you can go through all that, right? Now, I have brought in my channels, right? And I can see my catalog online. Now, just like what I told you, slices kind of help us to filter down. If I can borrow that word, to slice down and see maybe what is happening. So if we look at what we have on our visual so far, we have like the sum of the sales profit, we have promotion type, and how much sales that were brought in. If I select the catalog, I'm going to get information on catalog. That's what it's showing me. So right now I can see every sales that was done via catalog. We made this sum of sales. This was a profit that we brought in, and this is how much it cost us to, for the goods. And I can see for the promotion type, we had seasonal discounts, Advantage brought in more, followed by deeper promotion and winners promotion, right? So it kind of starts to tell stories on the different channels that we have made sales. I can see from clicking through, I can see that the store brought in more sales, 31.729. In fact, let me do a pie so you see it. See it. I'm going to bring in a visual now. Let me bring in my pie. What is that channel, right? That's what I want to bring in, right? And I want to look at the sales values, right? Sum of sales by channel. Yeah, why is it showing this way? Oh, I have this selected, so should come out. Yeah. So right now, if we look at this pie, kind of pie, it tells us right away, we can see it for sure. That's store has the highest number of sales, followed by online, followed by reseller, and then catalog, right? And that's why when I click on this store, I say that we made a sales of 31.72 million, right? So that's it for the slicers. So I can decide to use slicers to start. So, when you have summary, instead of you to come and be replicating for each channel a report that shows everything, slicers will help you achieve that. You put in the main features, the main visuals you want them to see, and then you use your slicers to I don't want to use the word, slice down, filter down to the different channels that you want them to look at and the different matrices that you want them to see. Now, I'm going to also do the same for sales, right? I have this other visual here. I'm going to try to do the same also for sales report, right? I'm going to bring in this slider. I can decide to copy the slider like I did before. Okay. I'll click out again. Can decide to copy this slicer, or better still build a new slicer again for this page and put it here, right? I want it to also be on this page. Now, look at what has happened. Power BI is bringing up like, what do you call it now? Information box tell us one or more of the copied visuals can stay in sync with the visual it was copied from. Do you want to keep them in sync? So Power BI understands that, oh, we had the slicer on the first page, on our main page in this case, and we have copied it to the sales page. It's telling us it's like the same thing. Do you want to sync it? So syncing it means if I say yes, whatever that happens, so if I click on the slicer on this page, it should also affect what is on the other page. So I'm going to say yes, because that's what we want to achieve, right? I'm going to click on sync. And now what it means is if I select store, okay, let me even go to reseller. If I select reseller, it gives me information on reseller. When I go back to my main page, I want to see information just on reseller. You see it's also highlighted, and I can see the information on anything that has to do with the channel reseller. Same, if I do catalog, I go back to sales, I expect to still see this there, right? I'm still going to copy this visual again. I'm going to copy it again. I'm going to right click, copy visual, taking it to the next page, which is our profits. And I'm going to drop it here, Control V. It's still asking me the same question. Now I'm going to say don't sync. I'm going to click on don't sync because I want you to see how this kind of impacts what we are doing. Now recall, we had catalog. Okay, yeah, we have catalog selected before. I'm going to click on online now. If I'm clicking on online, I expect to see information on my online on this page. But guess what? When I go to the sales report, remember we had catalogs before on. I am not seeing that online. And that explains why, because we did not sync it, right? So this is independent on its own. It can do whatever it wants to do. It's not synced. Likewise, this is independent on its own. This is only synced to the first one. So whatever I do here, I'm going to so that it's different from what we have there. I expect to see that in sales, but of course, I don't expect to see it in profits because they're not synced. Now, I'm going to teach you how. So say, for example, when I started this report, I didn't want to sync this page, but along the line, I now want to sync it. What can I do? Before, it was easier for us. PowerBI made it easier for us and gave us the option, do you want to sync or don't you want to sync? And it was easy to sync it, right? But what if I did not sync it initially and I want to sync it now? What can I do? You go on your view and you look for this button that says sync sliders. I'll click on it. And it brings out this pane, right? I wonder why it's taking time. Okay, so I'm going to click on this. And now I can see all the sliders that I have so far on this report. I can see that on the main page, I do have a slicer. So now what this means, the page name, that's what we're saying here. This means it's synced. So the slicer in this page is synced with another slicer on another page. This simply means it's visible. So I can see my slicer. If I go on this page, I can see it. Okay, I can see it, and so on and so forth. But when we come back to the sync, we can see that for the main page, it's synced with the sales page. But for the profits, it's not synced. Now we can decide to sync it at this point, and I will select sync. Now, if I go back and I try to select, so now let me try to select catalog. If I go on my main page, it should be on catalog. If I go on profits, it should be on catalog. So we have successfully synced our slicers across our different report pages. Now, another thing that I want us to also look at, if I click on this again and go back to this, my sync slicer pane, sometimes you'll find out that when you are doing a report, you might have different types of report that you're expected to show. And trust me, this canvas is kind of small to show everything, which is why you have the different pages. And to help you kind of arrange your reports, maybe according to departments or according to whatever metrics that you want to look at. But beyond that, we also want to save as much space as we can. So because this slicer is doing the same thing that this one on this page is doing, likewise, the one we have on the main page, I don't really need to see it in all the pages. So what can I do? So click on this, and if I go back, remember this icon that says visible. If I deselect this and deselect this, this will automatically go. So what it means is that right now, I will now have my slicer only on the main page. So if I go on my main page, you're going to see the slicer. But for these other pages, it's not going to be visible, but it's there. It's there. Now, what it means, and remember we've synced it. So even if I click on online here, and as much as you cannot see what is happening, like you can't see the slicer here, the information I'm seeing here is speaking to online channel. Okay, that's it for the slicers. Now, I'm moving on to the next one, which is drill through. Now, if I'm going to remove this and let's go back to all our data sets. So take me back to all our data set. Yes. So let's go back to sales. If you look at sales, I can see that we have made sales for the past 4 years, and we, you know what, let me use profits. We've made profit for the last 4 years, and we kind of want to still look at more information on the profit, right? I can decide to drill down. When I drill down, I can look at over time how the profits has really, like, in terms of how much we made for each month, each day, stuff like that. But beyond that, I might want to also be looking at other factors. I might want to have a more detailed information on that. And that's where drill to comes in. So I'm going to go to this another page and create like a detailed information on our profit so far. So first, I'm going to select my profit. Okay, I'm not going to select profit first. What do I even want to achieve? I want to look at my profit, say like over, what should I be looking at? Okay, let's even bring in our products now. Remember, we've been talking about other things. We've not even talked about the products. Now I'm going to go to my data just to have an understanding of what it looks like. So for our product, we have the product name Keku. We have our manufacturer. Interesting. Brand name, product subcategory, product category. This is kind of speaking to the products that we have and we make, like we sell. So I can still go back. Let me even see by manufacturers, right? Let me see which of them is bringing in more sales for me. So I can go in here and I can say, not just by manufacturers, I can bring in information for even the category, the different product category, and just have an idea what's happening, right? So I'll go back to my reports. And like I said, I want to bring in my manufacturer. I want to bring in my products. What was that again? Category, yeah. And I want to see over time the profits they've really made. This is not what I want to look at. So please give me table. Table will be better for me. Right? Yes, this should be better. So I want to take a look at what we've been doing so far. I can see that in terms of our manufacturers, right? But let me even drill up. Okay, let me, profit will be better. So in terms of our manufacturers, we have Fabricam, we have Roseware, we have Simpson, we have Widewall. We can see different manufacturers, and we can even see different product category. I can try to understand, what I'm going to do. I'm going to create 2 different visuals here. I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to copy visual, Control V. I want to even make it more interesting. Let's just have an idea that I did a copy now. Yeah, to the, okay. Why is this? I am not even asking you to select any. Why is it? Sorry. I'm going to remove this. Just copy and paste. I'm not highlighting anyone in particular. Copy visual. Control V. Oh, don't do this. Okay. I'm going to create another. Let me just start from scratch. Let me not be lazy. So I want to just create the profits by the product category. So I want to separate it so that's easier for us to look at. I want to create the profits by product category, or you know what, I'll just stick to this. So basically, this tells me information on the different manufacturers and then the different categories and the much profit they've brought in, right? Now, I want to be able from my profit page, when I want to see more information, I can drill through to get to where I have more information to speak to the products, right? So I can even call, let me rename this and call it products. Okay. So I want to be able to come here and get more information on this. So when I'm on this page, I want to be able to drill through from here and get to this page. What do I do? If you come under your visualization pane, you will see the option that says add drill through fields here. Okay. So what do I want to drill through to? I want to look at my profit. Remember, I want to go from my profits and look at more details about the profits and the different manufacturers and the different product categories that are bringing in the profits and, according to whatever they're bringing in. What it means is that I'm going to drag this profits onto this field here, and it's going to ask me to summarize or use as category. So in this case now, because I'm dealing with numbers, it's going to be using summarize, right? So when I go back to profit now, and I want to drill through, when I right click on the visual that I want to drill through to, you will see this option that says drill through to. What are you drilling to? Because I have already told my products page that whenever I go on this, please drill through to it. That's why you see this showing up here. And that's why I see products showing up there, right? So I can click on products and I can now get more information on the different cells. So that's how drill through works. I can even decide to create another. Let me create another one. Maybe this one will look at the different zones. And yes, let's create another one that speaks still to the profit and is looking at the different zones. So I'm going to bring in my zone. I can bring in the city and I can still bring in the profits. Yeah, let's do this. I mean, you can choose anything that you want to do through. I can even do sales instead of profit this time around. It's still up to me. And this tells me the different zones. City, maybe matrix might even be better here. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit. So I don't want I'm going to take my city to column, and I'm going to take my zone, sorry, my city to rows and column. I think it's better this way. So I can see for, this is for easy. So I can see for Federal Capital Territory, I'm operating in Abuja. North Central, I'm operating in Lorraine, Lafayette, like that. And I can still drill through to this page from my profit. So just what we did the other place, drag my profit here, and I will still achieve the same thing. So now when I go back to my profits, I can still do like a drill through. And this time around, I now have product and page. But remember, we did not even name that page. So let me try to name it. Maybe I'll put region now, since we're speaking to region. Okay, and I try to drill through. I right click. I can now see that drill through to product region, right? So instead of draining through to product, I can now click on region, and I can come back to this page and I will see more details on the profit that we've made by region. Did you notice that this key came up, this button came up automatically, which is even what we're going to very soon. This back button. It simply means because I did a drill through to this page, automatically Power BI understands that I can still go back to where I'm coming from. And this is what we call the back button key. And once you use so normally if you're on desktop, it will be control, press on your control and click on it. And then it takes you back to the report page where you're coming from. So that's basically it. I mean, you can decide to drill through a lot of things. If for instance, you can still achieve the same for sales, just you play around with your data. There are so many things depending on what you want to achieve. So that's it for drill through. Now, the other thing I mentioned that we're going to look at is what we call the buttons. And somehow Power BI have even introduced one to us, this button. It will take you back to where you did a drill through from. It takes you back to that report. Now in Power BI, if you want to get your buttons, when we go on the inserts, right? And we have the different buttons here under the buttons section. We have the left arrow, we have the right arrow, we have the reset, we have the back, which is what we have already seen. We have the information, we have the help, we have the question and answer, we have the bookmark, blank, so on and so forth. This also helps when it comes to reporting. So remember, at the end of the day, what you're trying to do is to make this reporting more interactive, more friendly, more easy to navigate and stuff like that. That's where you can look at these buttons. I'm going to do a few and we'll leave the others. I'm also looking at time now. And first, I will start with the back button, which we have already introduced. And I said for the back button, it takes you back to the report where you're coming from. Now, most times people would mistake this back button and the left arrow. It looks the same. I mean, it's the same. It should be doing the same thing. And by default, we already know that when you have an arrow pointing, to the left, it simply means maybe either you're going back or like you're going to the next page, that the previous page. And the one pointing to the right, which is the right arrow, should be going to the next page on the report, just the way we have it here. So, but back, the difference between back and left arrow is that left arrow, most times when we have it on a report, what we want to use it for page navigation. So you have page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4. When I'm clicking that, I want to go from page 4 to page 3, from page 3 to page 2, and so on and so forth. Likewise, the right arrow key, I want to move from page 1 to page 2, page 2 to page 3, and like that. But like I said, for the back button, I moved from the profit page and I did a drill through down to the region page, right? Ideally, when I have this, what I wanted to do is to go back to this profit page that I came from. And so when I click on my control key and press down on this, it takes me back to the profits. But when we introduce the left arrow, I don't want it to take me back to profits. I want it to take me back to product, which is like the next page in the report. So that's where I'm going to try to introduce this. I'm trying to move this a little bit. I'm going to put the two keys together so we can play around and see how it works. So I'm going to introduce the left arrow key. I'll drag it. You know what? Better still, I might put it side by side like this. Now, the left arrow key, like I said, we already know it's whenever I see arrow like this, it's telling you like go to the next page. But when we put it like this, if I press Control and click on this, it's not going to do anything. You need to configure it. You need to tell it what to do, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to still on this arrow key, I'm going to go to my format button. I'm going to collapse this now. Format button, and you see where it says, of course, there are just the way you have other visuals, there are so many ways to get around it and make it more appealing and more interesting to look at. But for the purpose of what I'm doing now, I'm just going to go straight to the action and I'm going to on it. And what do I want this particular button to do? Already it's telling me that the type of this button is a back key, but beyond the back key, I don't want it to do the work of a back key. I want it to, so I can still use it to achieve the same goal that this one is doing. But no, what I want it to do is when I'm flipping through my pages to help me go through the pages. So that's where I'm going to bring in my page navigation. And now it's going to ask me, so when I'm navigating, because I'm on product, I want it to go back to profits. Maybe we should have done this on region so it's easier to appreciate what's happening here. Yeah, but I'll do that and still do it on that so that you understand better. So I'm going to tell it to please, when I'm done with my products, my products page, navigate me back to the profit page, which is like the next. And now when I go and click on this, it takes me to this profit page. I'm going to do this for this so that you can appreciate we can see the difference between the two buttons. I'm going to just pull this down a bit and do the same thing that I did. So where's my button? Put the left arrow button there, right? I'm going to do exactly the same thing I just did, but just to tell it, okay, this is what I want you to do. I'm going to put it on, and it's a page navigation button. And because I'm on region, I want it to go back to products, right? And now when I click on this, it takes me back to product page. Okay, I'm going to go back here and I'm going to click on the back button. Okay, so now I'm going to click on this. It's going to take me back to where I came from, which is the profit page. While this other key will take me back to products page. So that's the difference between the two types of button. Now we can also introduce the right button, which is this. I'm going to put it somewhere here, right? And just like what this one is doing, but this time around, I don't want it to, it's going to be going the other way. So I'll do just the same thing that I did for the other one, configure it and then tell it to do a page navigation, and it will take it to the next page is region. So when I'm here, instead of just going through the pages to click on the pages, all I need to do is to use this arrow and I get to the next page, which is the region page. And you can do that for all your reports. Now, another thing I want us to look at, research is also similar, but I'm going to jump it and I'm going to go to Q&A. You already know, so let me go through it. Reset is reset everything for me and let it go back to normal. Back, I've already talked about. Information is, say for instance, when you have, what will I use as an example now? Information. So let's say your report has information. You can even put a website. Say, for instance, our report has, if you want to get more information on this particular report, you have like a dedicated web page where they can go to and they will get more information on that. That's when you can introduce this information button. And just like the others, always configure it, still go in here. But of course, in this case, it's going to be different. You are going to tell it it's going to be more like a web URL, and you put in your web URL here. You know what? Let me do something. Let me put in our LinkedIn page. I'll just bring up our LinkedIn. 1 minute. Let me bring up our LinkedIn page. I hope it doesn't take time. If it's going to take time, I'll just get LinkedIn. Let's quickly, don't waste our time. Okay, so this is our LinkedIn page, and I want it to come to my home page. Let's say we have information on what we're talking about on our home page. So I'm just going to, I want it up to this page. So I'm going to copy this URL and come back here and put it here, right? So what is going to happen is whenever I click on this now to get more information, it's going to take me to the web page where we have it. So I'm going to click on control. So it's going to take me to that page. So click on control, click on that key, and it takes you there. So that's it for, and this is also very similar to what you would do on, I'm going to go out again from here. I think that's it. So that's for the information button. And this is also very similar to what you can also achieve with your blank. So blank is it's an open book. Just use it and do whatever you want to do with it. So you can customize it to even say, okay, on the blank, you can say, oh, go to our web page or something like that, just like that. And help, you know how you are navigating through something and they always have the help button. So if, let's say you're using a product and you want to understand more information, that's how you can get help. You can also customize this and, of course, use the help button to point people to where you want them to be. Question and answer. I'll quickly do that as well. And then let's see. I'm looking at time now. I don't want us to keep us too long on this book. Question and answer. It's very similar to your Q&A visual. The difference is that it will just give you information. So the way you always prompt it and say, which question can we ask now? That's it. It keeps hiding. So let's even say, which question do we ask now? So automatically understands that it's a question and answer. Which question? Let's tell me. Which question can we ask now? Okay, let's say which city has the highest number? No, city has the highest number of sales. That's it. Yeah. So it brings out ability and it tells you it has the highest number of sales and this is how much we've made from that city. So that's what your Q&A is more like. So you can decide to put a Q&A where people can also just ask questions from the data set and get information on that, right? So that's it for this. Now, I'll just tweet one more and then we'll move on to the next thing. Bookmark. Yeah, let's look at bookmark. So for bookmark, we can create, I'm going to create another visual here. Let's see. what are the things that company always like to look at? So we can create, so what I want to achieve here, I want to create a visual where so I want to create a visual, maybe let's say where we have our key metrics that maybe, let's say management, they always want to look at that part of the report. So we can create something around there. And most times, you know what management are looking at for is maybe they're looking at profit, how much are we making, maybe which zone is bringing in more profit, or which products are bringing in more profit, or which, let's even see, in this case, let me even use brand name. Yeah, we have not done anything on brand name. So let's even see brand name, how much profit are we getting from brand name, right? And I can decide to move this visual to be, have we used the bar chart so far? No, we have not. So so from this, I can say that in terms of our brand name, Fabricam is bringing in more profit, followed by Keku. Maybe we also want to look at what? I'm trying to remember now. Just random things that we can achieve. Maybe beyond the different brands. Let's even look at even zone. How much are we getting from each zone? And that was still, let me still use profits. Yeah. Let me still use profit and see how much they're bringing in for us. Let me use a different visual now. So apparently we can see that Southeast is bringing in more profits, South, North Central, and so on and so forth. So let's assume that this is what management is like. Like whenever they come, they're like, oh, let's even see how far, which of the brand names are bringing in more this so that we can see if we can invest more in it or stuff like that. And they're always coming to this page. Mind you, our main page is this, right? This is our main page. Now, how bookmark works is bookmark. Sorry, I'm trying to see how do we get to bookmark again. Yeah, that's bookmark. So this is the page where, let's say, is like so bookmark is like a screenshot of a particular report. I think that's the right word, snapshot of a report. So let's say this is what our management is always looking at for. I can come here and introduce this. I'm going to introduce it with selection. I can come here and introduce this, and I'm going to add a bookmark, right? And this bookmark, and I can say maybe management. That's what they're always looking out for. Yes, I'm just going to call it management, right? So managements are always looking out for this. So I've bookmarked this so that whenever management wants to take a look at it, they can come here and look at this, right? You can put different bookmarks. You know what? I'm not going to complicate that. Otherwise, I can always bookmark. Let me say, okay, I don't even want, let's say, different regional managers also want to see what is happening with their profit, right? And I don't want them to see this particular report, right? I can hide this report, which is by brand name, right? And still bookmark this one. That's bookmark this report for the regional managers. So I'm just going to add another bookmark and call it regional managers. So regional managers, just to help us remember what this are doing, the different decisions are doing. So what it means now that I've added this is whenever I click on this regional manager, I expect to just see this. And this is what the regional managers are going to see. But if I want management to see the report, this is what I'm going to see. So whenever I choose this management, they will see the whole report. But when the regional managers are asking for this, I have customized it so that they can only see what is happening for the different regions, right? And that is how bookmark works. But more still, I can come back here. I can come back here and which is my main page. And I can decide to add like a bookmark, right? You know how we have our bookmark. Where is it? No, in my button now. Insert bookmark. Now, I'm going to move this one here just so that it's not blocking that. So this is our icon for bookmark, right? And what I want this to achieve is whenever I click on this, I want it to go to this page and give us information on this page. I am not seeing the other dates because maybe it's original. So if I click on management, it should show me everything. I want whenever I click on my main page, that when I go to this, I want to configure this so that it takes me back to this page. What I'm going to do, just like we configured others, I'm going to click on this and it understands that this type of bookmark is a bookmark, right? And which of the this are we bookmarking? I want to bookmark management. So whenever management click on that icon, they can easily see what they want to see. So I can select this management. And the moment I click on this, guess what? It should be able to show me this. Now you can even customize it further down. Remember how I said you should play around with this. You can decide to even remove this icon, make it more interesting. Let's even say, let's even bring in our, no, where do you even put that again? Sometimes I get confused how to navigate these things. Yes, it should be here. So let's even say I don't want this icon to show. Okay, let me bring in textile logo and use it to be like a customized button that when they click on that, it takes them to that management page, right? I can click on, where is that? Just 1 minute. Yeah, yes. So I want to fill this and bring in our textile logo. So I'm going to put on this logo, this fill on, and browse and bring in my textile logo. Yes. And you can see I have my textile logo. Don't want it to show like that. First, I'm going to remove the icon because I said I don't want the icon to be there. So I can as well off this icon and I just have my textile logo and the transparent, I want it to be more, and this should work. I can decide to enlarge it more, yeah. So basically, now I expect that, so basically what I'm trying to achieve here is, don't forget, when I click on this, I want it to take me to this management page that I can see this. So for our manage, you can customize it for sure to whatever you want it to do for you and how you want it to look for you. I can click on this. So whenever they click on this, it takes them to this. And that is what you can achieve with bookmark. I'm looking at time, we're pressed for time now. So that would be all I'll cover for the buttons. Now, we talked about the next thing that we were supposed to look at is optimize the report for mobile view in Power BI. We did that. We did this last week. I am so sure about that, right? It simply means, just like we said, how you have your desktop. I want to also make it look okay so that even if you are viewing it on your mobile device, it will come out well. Like it will come out well. And that's where our mobile layout comes into play. That we did last week. I'm not going to dwell much on it, right? And you can tell it to auto create the layout, or better still, you can do that yourself. It's up to you. If you decide that it's going to do that for you, that's okay. And it's just gonna do just so what it means is if you're not looking at it from what do you call it now, your mobile phone, you should be able to see it like this. Now, I don't want it to be that half. I can now just do a little bit of arrangement just to make it look more interesting, and and easier for I don't want this one to show my mobile view. Easier for, in fact, I can even bring back this info. So I'm going to click this, bring back this info, and take this info here, and take this question and answer here. You should just stay there with that. And just, try to rearrange, make it look okay so that whenever you are viewing it from your mobile view, it will still give you something that makes sense. And don't forget, whenever you're dealing with your report, look at this. Sum of sales by promotion type. See, you need to give us headings that are titles that are, very easy, not because PowerBI just populated that. So for sure, you want to always change your title and make it shorter and straight to the point, as long as it can communicate what that visual is doing. So yes, when you are working on your reports, that's something you should look out for. So, and once I'm done, I'm going to go back to my, sorry, once I'm done, I'm going to come out from my mobile layer view by double clicking on it and take me back to my home. And this is our report, right? Don't forget that what we want to achieve is we want to be able to, now that we are done with the reports, our report is not even looking good at all, for sure. And it's yes, we can take time to start, formatting it, make it look better. But trust me, that's something you can easily do once you are working on your reports. All you need to do, just go to your format and use all these options, maybe the layout, how you want it to be. If you want images, if you want colors, go back here for your title. You can decide to put the title, right now it's just taking in the different columns names and just doing, it's telling you is a sum of sales. So you can decide to change this to total sales to make it more interesting and more understandable and easier to sort of sum of. So you can do that with your title, the other formats and different. So just play around with this when you're working on your different this thing. The more you even play around with it, you will get more understanding on how these things works, right? So what I'm trying to say is, please don't ever leave your report like this. Please, please make sure you make it more presentable and more, user friendly, more interesting for whoever that's looking at it to kind of follow through and understand how it works. So what now? I want to assume that we are done with our reports, and now we can see what we have done so far. We have the report that speaks to the main page, for sure. And of course, when you're done with your report, you want to start to align them, make sure. One of the good things about Power BI is while you're doing this, it kind of gives you this alignments. You can see the red button. I can align it in such a way that, okay, it lines up horizontally and vertically. I can see this one is not really lined up with the others. Now it's lined up. So my slicer, my card, as well as my, what do you call this chart again? My column charts, it's kind of now aligned, which is what you want to achieve. You do the same here. Once it's aligned, that red line comes out to tell you it's okay. So these are little things that you can do just to make a difference. And now we're done. We have our main table, we have our sales table report, we have our profit, we have our products. We are good. We are okay. This is what we want to achieve. Now, what next? You have done the work for yourself on your desktop. Don't forget, this is your desktop now, right? We've even gone ahead to customize it for our mobile view. The last or the next step that we want to take is to publish it online on the cloud so that other people that are also in the same departments, colleagues, whatever, whoever that needs to have access to this report can also see it. And so this is where we now talk about the publish. So if you look at it, it says publish this report online in Power BI service. Yes, that's what we want to achieve. And I'm going to click on publish. Microsoft Power BI, so do you want to save it? Yes. So, we've been doing this report and we haven't even saved it. So I can go ahead and say, yes, I want to save it. You need to have a copy on you, of course, for sure. Because once you close this, all the things that you've done, it will go if you don't save it. So yes, I want to save it. Where is it? It's taking time. I don't know. I'll just save it again. So I'm going to say save as, and I'm going to, okay, finally came up. So well, I can decide to, yeah, save it here. And I can decide to call this Power BI. I don't want to give space. And cohort 6. Yeah, cohort 6 reports, maybe. Okay, so let's go with this. Now we have a copy of everything that we've done on our desktop. So whenever you want to open up the report, just click on it. The normal way you save documents and everything. So back to our publishing. It's asking us now, you know what, I'm going to go back and do this all over again so that it doesn't confuse. No, it prompted us to save because we didn't even save. All along, we've been doing our reports and we did save. So that's why it's like you need to save before you continue to publish. And that's what we achieved. So when you're doing your reports, for sure, always save. Always save. Because anything you don't save, you lose it. And then I will still go through the process again, publish. And it says, where do you want to publish? My workspace. So most times, if you're working for a company, you'll find out that they will have different workspaces. So maybe IT workspace, HR workspace, whatever. And let's say your department, which is, let's say we have a workspace for cohort 6, right? And what I want to do, I want everybody on cohort 6, every member on cohort 6 workspace to see what I've done. You will see that option here. By default, you always see my workspace because once you have an online account, that's your Power BI service account, you will always have your workspace. And that's the one that comes up by default. But now your company can decide to create different workspaces where everybody can publish their different reports. When we have more than 2, 3 workspaces, all of them will be listed here and you will see it and you can select whichever one you want to publish on and go ahead and publish. So it's telling me publishing to Power BI. Yes, so it's going to take time. Just roll through and tell me it's good to go. So success. So we have been able to successfully publish online. And if I want to see what it looks like, I can click on this. I mean, you can either click on that or you go online your normal way, click on the web page and type in app.powerbi.com. Once you're signed in, it will show you your workspace. So now it's been able to publish this on my workspace. And remember, we had different report pages. Now it's showing me the different report pages. So as I'm clicking through, I'm going to see the different report pages that we already worked on. And for sure, now that you're on Power BI service, you can still continue to edit. I can come here, still rename this. This one that I call the page 1, I can decide to rename it and call it management, right? And still continue doing whatever you are doing. You can still do more data, more visuals and stuff like that. So that's it for our class for today. I know you might ask me the question, but I do not have an account for the online service. And that's okay because you can only have an account if you are using like a domain like at a name of a school or a company, not your personal email. I think that was what was confusing a lot of us at the beginning of this class. But trust me, most of everything you need to do, you do it on desktop. Power BI service is, this is the same data set we've been using so far, Esther. Power BI service, it's, sorry, I just lost my line of thought. Power BI service is just for you to publish it and other people to collaborate with you there. And for sure, next class is supposed to cover everything about Power BI service. We're going to look at workspaces, how you can create a workspace. It's okay if you don't have access to Power BI service, just get the knowledge. And for some of us that have access, probably from your company, you have an email that says at textiler.com, at whatever.com. For sure, you can use that and also practice for, that's if it's allowed. It depends. You should understand what you can do and what you cannot do with your company email. You can do that and also get information on that. So yes, but even if you don't have the account, no need to panic. It's okay. It's a learning process. Just learn it. One day you will need it, or you will have the account and you can go ahead and work with it. So that's it for today. Now I can take any questions. And no attendance link today. Oh, there should be. Give me. Oh, beautiful. It's there. We have actually concluded our class for today. It should be my key. Oh no, should be this. So in this case now, I'm going to remove duplicates. So why am I doing this? I'm doing that so that I can have the one-to-many relationship by the time I start doing a connection. So I'm just going to remove. I'm thinking now between city and region, we should go. I should do this to be my primary key. So I'm going to remove duplicates. So what it means now is when I come on my region table, my primary key, I've made city my primary key. So now, if I take in this data set and if I take in these data sets, I just don't want it to interrupt what we were doing before, but if I take in the data set, close and apply with what we have now, okay, it's just committed, just so let's give it time. Okay. So you can see the three different tables that we brought in now, the sales, region, products. If I go in here, right, somehow, this is my modeling. I'm not going to go so much into this, but okay. I can see the three different tables now, right? And what I'm doing is, so most times you find out that the primary, the fact, so in this case now, my fact table is sales. Most times my fact table might not have all this detailed information that I have. So ideally, it might just have the order ID and then maybe the money, the dates, the amounts and everything. But it might not have all those details that we had, like all encompassing. So now what the fact table does is it will act as the main table where other data sets will connect to. So if you come to the region, it will connect, in this case now, my primary key here is the city. It will connect the city or the state or whatever, in this case, speaking states, right? Oh, we should have even used state as a primary key, but whatever. It's picking that and making that relationship to that table. Likewise, for the products, it will pick, we connect the brand distance to the sales. No, I don't want many. I thought I made the product. I don't want many to many. I wanted a one to many. So it will connect, you connect to it. So basically, fact table will be the primary table where other tables are looking at and making their relationship, like their connections. Other than that, with the initial data set that we had, you really didn't need to worry about the fact table. But you start to worry about fact table once you have 2, 3, 4, 5 data sets that you have to connect. And one thing that for sure that must be similar to the different table is that whatever that, so for the region table, you must have a key that is on the fact table that you can use to connect to your region table. So in this case, it's connecting using the state or whatever. Likewise, we'll have a product key that connects to dates. And no matter the number of data sets you have, there must always be like a connection key in terms of the columns that matches that I can use to make that relationship. Like the main table, while the other table is subset. Exactly. Yes, thank you. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's basically what it's all about.